Welcome to a new episode of the Opening Bid Podcast. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Like I always say, this is a podcast that will make you a smarter investor and a better leader. Y'all who have been following Opening Bid know I like me some sports. So we're going to lean into sports and really dive into sports and a little TV, a little media, a little bit of everything here with David Levy, co-CEO of Horizon Sports and Experiences. Should note, over 30 years at Turner.
33 years. If you want to
give it would be great here real time. I kind of dressed down a little bit. Maybe I should wear the suit.
The last person to spend any company time 33 years.
What was that? What was that like? I read a story somewhere that you used to rode a subway with Ted Turner.
Yes, that's an old story. That's an old story. Yeah, Ted didn't like to get into black cars, and he liked to be down with the people. And so we were going to an agency called Chiat Day, and we had a meeting downtown, and he walked out in front of the building. Instead of going to the car, he said, "Levy, let's go down into the subway." And went down the subway, and everybody had those like kind of unique faces, like, I think I know that guy, I think I know that guy. We got into Chiat, we went upstairs, and like 16 people came into the meeting going, they were making sure that Ted made it, because there was a lot of search going, where was Ted? So anyhow, that was a funny story.
What made him tick? I view him, the media has had a lot of iconic characters and leaders, but like, that's a special name.
Yeah, I was hired in 1987, 150th employee. Ted is a visionary. That word gets used a lot, I think too much in this industry, but he truly did things that nobody else would think about, like launching CNN, for example, when every single consulting company in the world told him not to do it.
Yeah.
Buying the Hanna-Barbera library and starting the Cartoon Network, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week Cartoon Network.
I think about wrestling with WCW.
WCW, when challenging, WWE, and then the merger with WWE. He just consistently understood. I'll tell you the last little piece of his brain. He bought the Braves, the Atlanta Braves. I forgot the year he bought it at, but it was only like $11 million to buy the Atlanta Braves. And he didn't buy it for the sports, for the team. He bought it for the 125 games, which was 350 hours of primetime programming. They didn't have to program somewhere else. So it was about the programming time for TBS more than it was about buying a team.
That's what you call a visionary,
Yeah.
sir. So let's dabble a little bit in what you're doing now over at Horizon. We just got the viewership numbers for the Super Bowl. 126 million up year over year.
126 million.
How do you think the streamers did for the Super Bowl? It seems like they had their moment in the sun a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, what I read and what I saw was Tubi drove about 14 million impressions or viewers of that 126 million, and they thought they were going to do somewhere around 7 or 8. So you're starting to see what I think in this industry is a shift of consumption habits, viewing habits on platforms that people feel more comfortable with, and streaming seems to be the way to do it. I don't think my sons have turned on a television set in 5-6 years. So if no one's turning on the TV, they're finding their content in other places. It's not like they don't like the content, it's just where they're finding the content.
Why? What is so special about the streaming experience?
Well, I think people are using their phones a lot differently than they ever have, their iPads. The distribution platforms have completely changed. And people want to watch where they are and when they have the opportunity. Sometimes you're sitting at a dinner, whether I like this or not, and a text comes to you that the Knicks are tied 101-101. Do you want to watch? Click here. Well, now you can watch the last 2 minutes. There's just too much access and too much opportunities to not change your viewing habits.
And where does big TV go?
It sticks. There's always going to be room for a lot of people, including me, like to watch on big TV screens, 55-inch, 75-inch.
Oh, you got a bigger one than 55-inch.
Okay. How big is yours?
I actually have an 81.
Holy.
Yeah. Hey, look, I saved a couple bucks. I work hard.
Yeah.
Why not? I just plastered my whole wall with the TV.
Yeah. I mean, I don't enjoy viewing on a phone, except when that's the only access I can get, right? If I'm in an airport or I'm somewhere else and I want to see the game or I want to see the content, you'll watch it, and you're getting more attuned and comfortable with watching on smaller devices. In the beginning, it was horrible. Now it seems to be natural.
I recently spoke to Disney CFO Hugh Johnston. I've known this guy for over a decade. He used to be PepsiCo CFO. And I've asked him recently, what do you want to do with these TV assets? Now, he's told me we're going to hold on to them, but you look at the profits that they're putting out. I mean, it's seemingly declining every quarter. What is the What's the end game for the likes of an ABC and these legacy media assets?
Listen, we're in certainly some changing times, so to speak. But these brands like Turner or ESPN or ABC, the media, what I would call established media companies or traditional media companies, they have to figure out how to diversify, right? The cable networks are still spilling out a tremendous amount of EBITDA. Maybe not what the EBITDA was 5 years ago, but still very, very profitable.
So they make money.
They make money, but they're public companies. And public companies that don't have a growth strategy, what happens to their stock? Their stocks decline. Doesn't mean that the asset itself isn't still producing revenue and EBITDA, and they are, and pretty sizable ones. So now what happens is, does private equity come in and sort of take it from a public perspective into a private perspective, which could happen. Ultimately, some of these cable companies could go private and still spin off a ton of cash. So that's one, what I would say, solution, opportunity, whatever. But while you're having this cash, can you also then use that and invest in other things that are growing, like streaming services? I think that's why you're seeing, HBO Max or Max come out. Sorry, not HBO anymore, just Max.
It's hard to keep track.
Peacock, Paramount Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus. These are extensions of content that these media companies own and are figuring out ways to have a direct-to-consumer relationship.
Like, I think we're all looking at Comcast. I mean, they've announced that they're going to want to split that company up. Do you think it's just those spun-off assets are privately owned?
Could be. I mean, that's going to be Mark Lazar's decision, how he does with SpinCo, so to speak. But one thought process is, there's not going to be, from what I read, a lot of debt put on to those assets, which normally when you spin something out, you kind of throw your debt over the boat with it. He seems to, what I've heard is that they're not going to load that up with so much debt, so that would give opportunity to invest and figure that out, buy other cable companies, figure out new types of strategies with that. I mean, I think you could go and acquire some programming and then maybe simulcast it out across all of their platforms, because he has maybe 15 to 20 cable networks. Imagine if you went out and bought and purchased something that you can now simulcast it across all of those networks at the same time. Not that those networks are all similar, but there's things that you should think through like that. So he may be aggressively going out and purchasing cable networks or programming, and or he may eventually turn around and take it private. Who knows?
Is the day over? Because you manage, I imagine, a lot of talent over at Turner through the years.
Yes.
Is the day? Yes, right. I mean, they're all. Yes, but is the day of the well-paid anchor? Is that over? And we've seen cuts across the board here, and we've continued to see them into this year.
I think you have to think about, when you say the traditional well-paid anchor, is Charles Barkley worth what he's getting? I think so. He attracts viewership, he attracts advertisers, and there are reasons why you pay people.
Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith.
You turn on the TV to watch him.
Right. You have some people love him, and he's polarizing, right? And so some people love him, some people hate him, but the point of the matter is he brings eyeballs to the networks. And so I don't know if it's over. Listen, there are podcasters that are making tons of money. That has nothing to do with TV.
Huge money.
Right.
Is that a bubble? I mean, what was the $125 million deal?
It's consumption habits. All of these things we're talking about today, whether you're in the podcasting business, the streaming business, the television business, every single one of them have opportunities, right? And every single one of them will pay talent where they believe it will drive revenue, whether it's advertising revenue, subscription revenue, or merchandise revenue.
Are you surprised to see Fox get involved in podcasts? They recently made an acquisition of a right-wing podcast platform, and then Netflix.
I'm not familiar with that.
Netflix now too, rumored to be interested in podcasts.
Podcasting business is a extension of IP that you may own, and it's acquiring new IP that you may end up put into film, you may put into TV shows. I mean, some of these podcasts are ending up going to turn into different types of IP and different types of content. So I think whoever's managing those businesses have to think through all of those different aspects.
It's like our podcast, David.
It's like our podcast today.
We just crossed the 1 billion viewer mark.
Yeah, congratulations.
Not yet. But we're trying to
Just today. Today.
As they would say, the growth is up and to the right, David. It's up and to the right. Hang with us. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid. Having a fun chat here on the future of media, a little sports with David Levy, co-CEO of Horizon Sports and Experiences. So talk to me about what you have been working on at Horizon.
So when we started Horizon Sports and Experiences, Chris and I, about 2 years ago actually, our vision was really very simple. We wanted to kind of create the next generation of a sports marketing agency, taking the best of what I would say brand consulting and brand sponsorships and activations, and coupling that with the ownership and creation of IP, and create our own IP. So the first one we did was the Pickleball Slam. We're now, again, this Sunday is going to be Slam 3, the Duel in the Desert.
Who's playing?
Agassi and Steffi Graf, who won Slam 2, is playing Roddick.
How can you not watch that?
I know.
That's like nostalgia factor right there.
And is playing Roddick and Jeannie Bouchard. So for $1 million purse, live on ESPN, at 1 o'clock West Coast time, so 4 o'clock East, right before the All-Star game, which airs at 6. So it's a 2-hour window, $1 million purse at Mandalay Bay. Kind of special.
Why pickleball? Why is pickleball still having that moment?
You know, it's one of these growing sports that you can play easily. There's now 36 to 40 million people playing pickleball in the United States.
Astonishing.
It's unbelievable. Men and women. And it's growing because people are actively playing the game itself. Now, what we did at HS&E is we said, listen, we have this huge growth sport, a recreational sport that is growing like crazy. Let's put the greatest brand names in racket sports in this. So our first one was Agassi and Chang versus Roddick and McEnroe.
Wow, feels like I'm back in my mom's living room as a kid.
And but they're great racket players, right? The best of the best, you know, Grand Slam champions, and put them in $1 million purse. One of the things that it has to be in these, what I would call destination programming, appointment viewing, so to speak, you have to make sure it's authentic. So if they're not playing for anything and it's an exhibition, I don't think it works. So they're playing for $1 million purse. That means real money to their bottom line. They're playing live on ESPN, all right? Not on, you know, I'd say ESPN 7 or 8, so to speak. So has to be on a premium channel with a premium event with the marketing capabilities. We also have ticket sales. We've sold out Slam 1 and Slam 2. We have merchandise that we're selling. So it's kind of like, you know, a flywheel where we create the IP, we sell the sponsorships, we sell the activations, we sell the merchandise, and we sell the tickets.
It's almost like we're seeing a complete reinvention of what sport is. I mean, you have pickleball, of course, a sport, but I'm watching what TGL is doing over on, with Tiger. I found it fascinating that I've wanted to watch Tiger hit up against a digital screen, and I've been wanting to watch the whole program.
So that's a really good topic. So one of the other things that we're invested in, we invested in a new 3-on-3 women's basketball league called Unrivaled. And Unrivaled takes the best top 36 WNBA players, one specifically missing, but hopefully get her next year, Caitlin Clark. But other than Caitlin, all of them are down there and competing really, really hard. At the same time, TGL launched as well. So you have two, let's say, new leagues in the sports space. The difference, I think, is interesting. Both of those leagues, when I say the names on the back of the jerseys mean something, obviously TGL has all the great brand names, Tiger, Rory, on the back of the names of their jerseys. So, well, they don't have jerseys, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Great brand names. And the same thing for Unrivaled. I think the difference, and this is where I'm interested to see how the golf league happens and the success rate of it in the future, is they don't seem to be competitive. It seems to be fun. It seems to be interesting. You just said, I can't believe I'm interested to see Tiger hit the screen.
I just need to see Tiger. Like, it's strange because I'm now at the point where if Tiger's not in a golf tournament, I'm not watching. So if I can get a little taste of Tiger, on my TV screen, my 81-inch
You're
TV
going to
screen.
tune.
I'm going to watch.
But what happens when Tiger's not there?
Well, then I don't watch any golf anymore.
Right. Well, my point is, what happens when Tiger's not playing in that league at that particular time, that team aspect of it. So I think, and the difference in Unrivaled is it's competitive every night. They want to win. So the product on the floor is authentic, real, and people are tuning in for it. The product on the what's it called? TGL. Tour Golf League. The TGL product right now, I don't think it's that competitive. Mm-hmm. I actually think it's more like a unique situation that people are tuning in to see what it's all about. Mm-hmm. At some point, that has got to get competitive, or I don't think it's sustainable. Where I think Unrivaled, because it's so competitive and the product is so good, it's going to be long-term and success.
Why are these new, I mean, they're not new sports, they're different takes on sports. Why do you think that they're being created? Is it attention span by the next generation of viewers? It's short. They don't want to sit and watch 18 holes of golf, so just give them the best of golf or basketball in that 30-minute time frame or however long it takes.
Well, consumer habits are certainly changing, but I think it's got to be quality and authentic. It just can't be made up, and just for the sense of making it up. I do believe sports in general is the last destination programming on television. Appointment viewing, you have a built-in fan base, meaning, you know, if you love football or you're in fantasy football or you like the Giants or you like the Jets, you're going to tune in, right? It's a built-in audience. When you develop a scripted product for television, right, and it costs $5 to $10 million per episode, you have no idea whether it's going to be successful or not. Almost zero. It's, you know, matter of fact, I would tell you that probably 95% of all scripted programming is a failure after season one. 95.
Wow.
Right? So when you go into the sports, you know, and you say, listen, should I buy the NBA? Should I not buy the NBA? Should I buy golf or not golf? You know you have a built-in fan base. You know that ultimately the Super Bowl, which we just went through, is it going to do a 55 rating or is it going to do a 50 rating, right? But you know it's not going to do a 10 rating.
Yeah. Isn't it great you don't have to worry about these things really anymore?
Yes. Well, I do. You know, I wish I didn't have to worry, but now, you know, we're investing in our own, you know, IP. So I'm hoping that the Pickleball Slam does really well. I'm hoping that the Shark Beauty Women's Champions Classic that we did last December on Fox Primetime, we're hoping that does well. Both of them have been successful because my background kind of understands the Rubik's Cube of where these events need to show up, the time period they need to show up. It's not unusual or didn't come out of thin air that the Pickleball Slam is from 4 to 6 on ESPN, and then at 6 o'clock on TNT is the NBA All-Star Game, right? I didn't want to put it at 6 o'clock because it wouldn't be successful. So you have to find these little time periods that work.
I want to leave enough time on this one.
Yep.
I'm sure you've seen Netflix's push into live sports.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? And at the end of the day, is Netflix and Amazon, are they the ones that are just going to have all these sports assets? Because I can't see how legacy media, with the balance sheets that they have today and where they're likely to go, they could support the costs of putting this programming on.
Okay, those are like 4 different questions in
I mean,
one.
I used to be an analyst. I'm like dumping all these things. My time period is
a
short
lot
here.
of 4 questions. So first, let me say, let's talk about the streaming services in sports. These streaming services were built when I was back at Turner and didn't even have a streaming service at that. Well, we had HBO, but not what I would call, you know, the streaming services that are today. That was more of a premium channel on the cable business. But the streaming services were built on the backs of content libraries, right? Then they moved into original programming, which was really smart. And they built incredible subscriber bases. But they were doing the same thing, right? Original content, libraries, original content, libraries. And eventually what happened was they were starting to have big churn on, you know, because it's very easy to cancel your streaming service than it is your cable, right? You could you push a button on streaming, you're out. You can watch Yellowstone and then click out. I can watch this and come in and come out, right? So the churn started to happen far greater than it used to. And so in order to stop churn, you have to provide different types of programming, right? And so now sports is starting to fill and eliminate the churn rate. So if you know, let's use Amazon for example. They had Thursday Night Football, right? So that was 18-week schedule. That's 18 weeks that if you want to watch Thursday Night Football, you're not canceling your Amazon subscription.
Yeah.
Right? Netflix now has got the WWE. If you're a WWE fan, right?
You're not canceling Netflix.
You're not canceling Netflix subscription, so you're churning. Now, you're also probably adding new subscribers. If you didn't have the WWE, right, you're not going to get those new subscribers. So Netflix, in order to continue to grow their sponsorship, they have to get into the sports business, right? Amazon getting into this. So that's why you're seeing this shift, because they are adding new subscribers, because Wall Street is demanding that they continue to grow.
Sure.
Okay? And again, as I just mentioned earlier, scripted programming, you don't know whether it's successful or not. You know sports is going to be successful, and you know they have built-in fan bases.
Sure.
Those fan bases travel into the streaming services. So I think it's to help eliminate churn and to drive new subscribers. Where do I think, and you said this, is this where all sports are going to go? No, I think there's an opportunity even for the television business, in the simulcasting business, and let's just take a look at the NBA deals. Every NBA deal that was just recently done, NBC bought it for their broadcast channel, because guess what? Big reach, but they also are going to air games on Peacock, right? Amazon and ESPN is going to air it on ESPN and ESPN, their new direct-to-consumer, what's it called, flagship. Flagship. Yep. You're going to see that these media companies are going to buy it for cross-platform opportunities.
Let me get your hot take on this one before we let you go.
Sure.
Does the NFL opt out of its deal in a couple of years?
I would be surprised if they didn't, because it was a 7+3. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So,
they can't, to be clear, they can't opt out with Disney, just everybody else.
Okay. So I don't know whether it's Disney or whoever they can opt out with. I would say 7 years is a lifetime in this media business right now. It is evolving and changing at every single moment. So it would be surprising to me that there would be some change in viewership habits and consumption, in maybe even in legal matters, or bankruptcies or things like that nature over these next 7 years, that they wouldn't opt out. I'd be surprised if they wouldn't.
It's going to be an interesting time. We're going to leave it there. David Levy, co-CEO of Horizon Sports and Experiences. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and I hope everybody watches the Pickleball Slam this Sunday.
You picked the Eagles to win, right?
I did pick the Eagles.
There we go. See, we just leave it on that. All right, and that is it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. Continue to hit us with those 5 stars on all the podcast platforms and likes on YouTube. I'm really enjoying all your comments. I try to answer them all. We'll talk to you soon.